Hi, so today I want to talk about a question that I get asked a lot. How do I get my off-the-track thoroughbred round on the bit in that nice outline that we all like to see and we all like to have our horses going around in? The head sort of with their neck in that nice arch, nice and rhythmic in their movement instead of this head up in the air. This how do I get him in an outline? How do I get him round? It's the elusive, how do we do it? There's a lot of different training ideas out there. And some of them really aren't really don't promote equine welfare. They're not the best way to go about training your horse to achieve that roundness and that nice frame. I think a lot of us have heard we really don't want to, this pulling the horse's head in, so riding from front to back. So that's something that you do not want to do. Instead, I sort of wanted to talk today about achieving the round, like achieving the outline, achieving this roundness. Our horse on the bit is a symptom. So it's a reward for correct training, and with our off-the-track thoroughbreds for correct retraining. So it's actually not the end goal in itself. It's like, well, I want my horse to be going around in an outline and on the bit. It's a symptom, and it's an effect of progressively getting your horse more in self-carriage, which means off the forehand, off their shoulders. Now, this is a really big thing with off-the-track thoroughbreds. They go around in racing. They tend to spend a lot of the time in their work, and particularly in their gallops and that. They sort of use their body in a completely different way than what we're wanting in our equestrian disciplines, dressage and show jumping and things like that. So it's quite a big ask for an off-the-track thoroughbred to go from working on their forehand and leaning into the bit to then we want them in self-carriage. We want more weight on their hind end. That takes physical rehabilitation and a really good physical program, a really good training program and retraining program to achieve this. So you'll see in this video that's coming up an off-the-track thoroughbred that I have in for retraining. Now, when he came to me, he had no top line. He'd retired from racing. He had an extensive race career, and he then spelled for 12 months. He actually spelled in a yard, I think. I don't think he was out in the paddock. So he probably didn't get a lot of exercise and activity. And he came to me with just like a really big dip, no top line at all. So the little snippet of video that you're going to see, I just wanted to show you where he's at and how he's learning to carry himself in a nice frame. You'll see it's inconsistent, but you'll see that he's actually starting to reach down and starting to carry himself nicely. And now this is an effect from the 4 months of retraining that I've done with him up to this. So this is actually 4 months into his retraining program. He's taken a bit longer than other horses that I've had just because of his physical weakness. And he did compensate a lot in racing. That's what just looking at him and looking at his racing history, I feel like he's actually spent a lot of the time compensating in his body, which quite often thoroughbred racehorses do. So an off-the-track thoroughbred is very different from other horses, warm bloods, anything that hasn't had such a demanding career such as racing. And in racing, they're using their body so differently than what we want them to do, in equestrian disciplines or even in pleasure riding. You don't want your horse sort of leaning onto the bit. So this takes time, and this is a process. You don't want to shortcut it, and so you don't want to get your off-the-track thoroughbred and think of focusing on their head. Forget about their head. Forget about their head position. Their head position. And as you'll see in this little video, his head position is coming because of all the steps that I've done to achieve where he's at now. So the first thing you'll see in this video, the first thing I've got him going nice and forward. Okay, so I follow equitation science principles. I follow the equitation science training scale. So the first things we want to do with our off-the-track thoroughbred is teach them to give to pressure. Teach them to give to pressure with your leg aids. They quite often will be very heavy to your leg aid and not respond, or they may be very hyperreactive and don't like the leg on them. So in this video, Ty is an off-the-track thoroughbred who was very heavy, very non-responsive, very lazy, just didn't want to go forward. He's now going forward lovely, and I do a little nudge with my leg, and if he doesn't respond, I'll do a firmer nudge, and as soon as he responds and goes forward, I'll release the pressure. I don't continually nag him. He's going forward really nice. So my aim now is to keep him in a rhythm. I want him to keep his tempo of forward. You'll notice when he goes up on the bit and his head goes up, so he tends to slow down. So instead of thinking of his head, I think of maintaining my rhythm. So I'll go 1, 2, I actually count my rhythm. Excuse me, my dogs might bark in the video here. I've got my little doggies around me. So I'm always thinking, if I want to keep the rhythm, the trot rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be on top of it. I think of the rhythm and I'll give him a little nudge with my legs. If he doesn't respond, a firmer nudge. So I'm maintaining my rhythm. So in this video, I've got him going nice and forward. And then when I've got him going nice and forward, I start to do to help him drop his head down, which is his head dropping down is teaching him to work over the back, okay, and up into the bridle. So if his head's up, he can't work over the back. So his head is, as I said, is just a reflection of him working properly in his body. Now, how I get them to achieve dropping in onto the bit is teaching them in hand on the ground first, how to give to the bit in flexion. Okay, so I've already taught him that when I use my left rein, I do it a little bit out and up. He has taught to give with his jaw. Now, I've taught this in hand first before I use this under saddle. I've taught him. So when I ask him to flex with his head, okay, I always ask that with some movement of his legs. So I'll ask for a step out. So it's actually combines with a turn. Now, when he flexes and turns, he gives in his body. Now, a horse can't be high and above the bit when they're bending and bending correctly in their body. They actually can't hold that. So bending correctly and flexing through their body, like so bending from their tail through to their pole, is they can't have their head up in the air. So it's actually, I'm not asking him to, forcing his head into a position. I'm asking him to bend and flex correctly. And the symptom of that is his lowering his head and reaching into the bridle. So this whole, the outline is a reflection of your horse going forward, okay, nice and lightly in rhythm, bending correctly through their body, and maintaining a consistent contact. Now, Ty in this video, you'll know, is not at that stage. He's not consistent with it. My job is to continually think of my forward first. Okay, so I'm thinking of him staying forward. And then, so if he loses his forward, so you'll see, it might be a bit hard to see in this little video because this is only a snippet of it. I have a longer video that I will upload in the near future. But you'll see he, when I ask for a turn through the corner or I do little zigzags, he will slow down. So he'll slow his legs. So I then go back to him going forward. So I won't continue my turn. I'll go back or I won't continue my flexion. I'll actually have him go forward first and then ask for the flexion again. So if I'm losing my forward, okay, I'm not going to get a proper bend. Okay, so the number one thing is to have him forward. Now, you may have an off-the-track thoroughbred that is very rushy, okay? So in future videos, I've got lots of off-the-track thoroughbreds coming into training. I will show you because they need to be addressed a little bit differently. You still need to have them go forward, okay, but they're a lot more sensitive to the legs. So that's a little bit of a different approach. The whole principles still maintain the same. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a chat about the video coming up and give you an idea of what where he's at and how I'm achieving this outline with him and teaching him to drop down onto the bit. I'm not focusing on his head carriage. It's a symptom of him bending and flexing correctly and maintaining his forward rhythm. So when I maintain his forward rhythm, I'm always thinking of his hind legs stepping under. I feel what his hind legs are doing. I want his hind legs stepping underneath him, not slowing down. And then when they're stepping underneath him and I'm starting to supple his body with bending and flexing, the energy and can go up through his rib cage, over his back, and then into the bridle. So it's like it's you have to be like a jack of all trades. You're thinking of everything when you're a rider, and that takes a lot of practice and skill and experience. It's just experience, getting the feel of it and practicing it. So enjoy the video. I hope you get some helpful tips out of this, and yeah, I'll talk soon. Bye.
So here is Ty, an off-the-track thoroughbred that's in for retraining. So in this session, the first thing I'm thinking of here in this video is thinking of him going forward. So I'm actually giving him, so you see when my left hand actually comes up, I'm giving him a little tap on the shoulder with my dressage whip if he doesn't respond to my light leg aid. So I give him a little nudge with my leg, a little firmer nudge, and if he doesn't respond, I give him a little tap on the shoulder. I've trained Ty to respond to a shoulder tap because I know that he's going to be ridden by a young girl, so it's easier for them to tap on the shoulder than it is behind the legs. So here Ty's going nice and forward. You can see here I'm actually doing a little zigzag, so I'm coming in off the outside track and back onto it. Now this is where I start to get him to soften and flex. So I'm asking for a little bit of outside turn there. So you can see he's a little bit resistant in his head. He's coming up and down, and now he's dropped again. So first I'm looking for the forward. Now once I've got the forward, I'm actually asking then for some little turns. Now the turns incorporate a rein aid, so asking him to turn out. Now with that rein aid, I want him to soften in his jaw. Okay, he's doing a little head twist here, but when he softens in his jaw and then turns with that same side leg, so just say I'm coming over to the left, he will drop his head and bend into that turn. So that's actually how I get them to carry themselves in a nice outline. So the nice outline is just a reward, so it is a reflection of them working properly. So forward. So once again, I'm doing little zigzags here. So the zigzags are asking for some bend and flexion, and in that bend and flexion, I ask him to soften in his jaw, and that's when he drops his head and starts to unlock. So I've just come back to a walk here. But when I ask for the little turn, the turn is a rein aid, and with that rein aid, he steps out with his left front leg. Now, then what I do, so I wasn't doing any leg yielding or any leg aids in that. So when he turns properly, he softens his jaw and he drops his head. So the fact that he drops his head is because he is doing his little turn correctly, if that makes sense. So it's the head dropping is a reward of him turning nice and softly.
So I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you thought, and also let me know if you have any questions. Please pop them in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to answer them. And what videos would you like to see in the future on this channel? Yeah, your feedback is fantastic, because if I know what you would like to learn and what issues you're having with your off-the-track thoroughbred, I'm more than happy to put videos together for you. So yep, once again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.